What does it mean being a global citizen?
You wanted to really see something different.
They just have the name but really do anything about the international. We have 6 different foundational literacy that they need to master.
It's not a knee-jerk resistance of the dismissal of the idea. It's
to dismiss, right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, sugeng enjing, good morning. Hai Al Azharian, balik lagi di Berbinar, berbincang bareng Al Azhar. Bersama saya Dwi Yuliantoro, dan kali ini kita ditemani tamu yang sangat spesial, tamu dari jauh dari negeri Paman Sam, Amerika Serikat. Profesor Eric Alan Jones. Good morning.
Ya, selamat pagi Pak Dwi. Good morning Huskies.
Good morning Huskies.
Selamat pagi Al Azhar.
Al Azharian.
Pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually we are very happy and fortunate to have you here with us, Pak Eric. Yeah. Teman-teman, kali ini kita akan bincang-bincang tentang the role of education in preparing global leaders. Dan podcast kita kali ini kita lakukan di lobi kampus Al Azhar Yogyakarta World Schools yang berada di Gamping, Kabupaten Sleman, Daerah Istimewa Yogyakarta. Buat Bapak Ibu atau teman-teman yang mau main ke kampus Gamping, feel free, silahkan datang ke sini. Lobinya sangat nyaman dan dari jalan sangat terlihat jelas karena gedungnya tinggi, arsitekturnya juga sangat futuristik ya. It's very nice. If you come inside, you will even see a lot more astonishing architecture design. So it's gonna be fun. So please do come.
Asram Coffee dan Eatery.
Sebelum kita ngobrol bareng dengan Prof Eric, buat Al Azharian jangan lupa subscribe dulu channel YouTube Al Azhar Yogyakarta dan follow semua social media Al Azhar Yogyakarta buat dapat update info terbaru dari kita. Daeng, I should call you Daeng because you are given this title from the Kingdom of Goa.
Yeah, Rewa Goa.
Yeah. And your royal title is Daeng Marewa?
That's true. Yes.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, can you tell us what does that mean?
Daeng is a royal title, and Rewa or Marewa is brave. So brave. It's I think it's because I say what I think.
Okay.
Which is maybe very Makassar Bugis. So that maybe that.
I mean, that's very typical American too, right?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
As American, that's
right.
That's what we do. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's some of the we'll talk about this later, but in the international engagement, so those communication strategies, those ways of engaging information and sharing and learning, those are part of what is fascinating to think about how we behave as scholars, how we interact as people, and these students are exposed to that broad world, which is kind of amazing for them.
Right. Yeah, we don't really keep our opinion to ourselves, but we voice and we share our thoughts and opinion, because that's what we do as scholars. Yeah. Okay, Daeng, we're gonna talk about your engagement and role in various leadership at Northern Illinois University.
Yeah.
Right. It's gonna be very interesting. So, tell us some of your experience that you have with NIU.
Yeah, and first I will say it's an honor also to have you as a visiting scholar at NIU as a Husky, and your long engagement is really part of the reason, and I think why we're talking here, this partnership over time of this shared cooperative learning, and so we're really honored to have
thank you
also.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. but I've had different roles. I came to NIU because it's focused on Indonesia. I'm a scholar of Indonesia. Went to UC Berkeley, not Berkeley Mafia, but went to.
We're gonna create our own mafia.
Yeah, right. Sort of a democracy mafia, and
right.
And right there's a strong focus on Indonesia, and so we have a Center for Southeast Asian Studies, which I was acting director for a bit, and then also in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences as executive director for global initiatives. At most universities, Southeast Asia is maybe on the radar, but not central to the international efforts. But I'm lucky at our university; it's really a centerpiece of all of our international efforts at my university. So I feel fortunate to be here and there, and then here at Al Azhar.
Dang, you have spent so much time, like working in the internationalizations and also like global engagement with NIU. What first drew your interest to Indonesia?
Yeah, I grew up, and I guess the story I'm about to tell really briefly is that if anyone can do international, I can do it, anyone could do it, because I grew up in kampung-kampung as a cowboy in the West, and reading National Geographic books about Indonesia, and was fascinated but never could travel. And so when I got the opportunity, I went as a young student, and was amazed immediately. Not far from here at Prambanan, was as a young historian blew my mind with oh, I can't believe
it's actually close to my house.
Right. Yeah, we'll see you there. And so I was immediately attracted, and then the people of Indonesia drew me in, just their sort of warmth and curiosity. And the engagement was so high that I thought, I want to study this place. I want to figure out what's happening here. Yeah.
I have heard a story that you came to Indonesia like first time when you were still like a very young, getting lost because you were supposed to go to a place, but you ended up like completely in a far different area.
Not only I was 18, had never been out of like Kampong, Wyoming, and got a ticket in Surabaya for the Pelni, and took the wrong boat, and I ended up going to Sumatra. I was heading towards Sulawesi, but the boat was going the other way from Surabaya all the way to Palembang, and then a family on the boat were so nice. They were like, "Oh, this poor boy, he doesn't even know." So they took me to their home in Palembang, and then to visit their uncle. And then do you know where I went in 1990? They took me to Aceh.
Oh my God!
I had no idea. Like, you shouldn't go to Aceh, maybe.
How do people of Aceh actually?
They were so happy. It's the happiest anyone's. They were like, oh my God! Like, they hadn't seen any visitors forever. So I show up with Indonesian family, and they were like, hey! And it was I was ignorant that there were, but I've thought about that a lot. That what you hear. In sort of political contention, and what's actually happening on the ground, like that's some of the nicest people I've ever met.
Right. Dang, with your experience like traveling, and also in your role as the acting director of the Asian Studies, and also the executive director for Global Initiative, how does that shape the partnership collaborations that you have between NIU and Al Azhar?
Well, I think if you do this work, and you as an administrator know this as well, that you can have great ideas, you can meet exciting colleagues, but you have to have partners who are really willing to make it happen, who are willing to sort of do the matching and the figuring out the logistics, and so I think. Part of what Al Azhar and you and the team here has been so amazing at is that kind of responsiveness and willingness to say, like, we believe in this partnership. We're gonna, if there's an issue, we'll fix it. If there's a challenge, we'll figure out how to to a commitment to make it work. And that is pretty rare, actually, right? Yeah. Some are willing to host your program if it's easy and they don't have to do any work, and it somehow can just magically happen. But that almost never is the case,
never
right?
The case, right?
You know, how did you end up? You know, you grow up in Java, and then you end up at Michigan State in a PhD program, and how does that happen for you?
That's very interesting. You know, my first experience going abroad was actually when I was at my undergraduate. I applied for a scholarship to represent the province. It's an exchange program.
Is it like LPDP, something like a?
Back then there is no LPDP. You know,
right.
When I got the opportunity, it was actually sponsored through the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
Okay.
So they select one or just two people from each provinces across Indonesia. So I represented Yogyakarta back then to go to Canada.
Nice.
So it's the very furthest away from Jogja. You know, like the reason why I chose Canada. There are several other countries also as the options, but the reason I chose Canada is because it's the farthest.
Right. You wanted to really see something different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I gotta go out of my comfort zone,
like, why not go all the way?
Yeah, I just have to do the extreme, right?
Different climate, also, very dramatically.
And then,
nice.
After I finished the master's program, the university offered me to stay and continue on with my PhD.
And even as a student, though, you were helping to run kind of international kinds of programs and already, right? So that was built in even as a grad student.
Yeah. So my engagement with Michigan State is not only do academic. I also work as a researcher, as a faculty member, developing what they call the Global Educators Cohort Program.
Okay.
It's an undergraduate program that produces teachers to teach in the international school setting across the globe. Nice. And that experience actually really make me who I am today in terms of like international education.
Yeah, and I think you get a little addicted to, I find that part of what keeps me coming back to international education is that I'm sort of chasing that sense of wonder I had as a first time seeing something and being kind of amazed at how it opens your mind, and then bringing students and others to the first time to these experiences. You see it through their eyes, and you watch them like, you know, amazed and with wonder, and it really brings me back to that that sense of like
and as a scholar, you know, as a researchers, we are going native, right? So we become like the part of the community.
Yeah, and you can even get desensitized, or just like everything you see as normal, you don't realize like how special it actually is, because it seems now normal that you're
So and that's, you know, like keep me coming back and forth between Indonesia and the United States for the longest time I've ever imagined, I think. And now I end up becoming a visiting professor at NIU.
Yeah, we were lucky
work
to have
with you.
Yeah.
So it was very nice. So Dang, this is not your first time actually coming to Indonesia, work with Indonesia. Even when you were at NIU, you host a lot of different groups coming to NIU and work with you. Can you give an example of that?
Yeah, I mean, we've been lucky to have part of our engagement is you know, I'm a historian, but I like to work with the living as well as those who passed away. So our engagement with them, like, and we have a special democracy focus. You know, students like Andy Malarangeng, Rias Rashid, Anies Baswedan, like high political figures have come from NIU and been influential in politics and democracy, and so that emphasis has continued on. And I was recruited by their mentor, Dwight King, to come as a scholar to NIU, and so I wanted to carry that mission. And so the KPU, the Indonesian Election Commission, was one of the first groups we had several times, the commissioners, and they were really intense modules about like comparative democracy, about logistics, like how to best run an election, how to manage data, information. It was a really great experience. And we've also had the Secretariat of DPR, the researchers come and do intense work on budgeting, on research, all kinds of, and Kemenko UKM and others have are Indonesian administrators. So that's been that kind of short course, intensive, and I think it's had real. I just met with some last night, the graduates of our program who really talked about how it continued to benefit their engagement with the country. So national service has been a part of. I think what we're most proud of is that the people who come have tended to go on and want to contribute back to their country.
That's right. So Al Azharian, please know that all the names that Prof. Eric just mentioned, they are very famous people in our country that has a lot of influence in our political growth or development for democracy. And prominent figure in shaping the Indonesian democracy are mostly NIU graduates, correct?
Yeah, of the so-called Team Tujuh that reformed the election laws, that decentralized the government, that created the first sort of like real election. Like those are the majority were all Huskies.
Right. Yeah. Right. Huskies is the name for Northern Illinois universities. Is the mascot of the university. Like in the U.S., every single university will have their own mascot that that they gonna use as a nickname to call themselves, right? Yeah. Like NIU call themselves Huskies. Michigan State, for example, call themselves Spartans because of the Spartan spirits.
Right.
Dang, speaking about the global citizenship that now has been very vibrant in our daily life. Al Azhar Yogyakarta World Schools is an education institutions that really put forward Islamic values, but also embracing international global mindedness. In your opinion, what does it mean being a global citizen?
I think Indonesia has never been more important than it is right now. If you look at, for example, Prabowo's speech at the UN, centering Indonesia, both peacekeeping and also potentially leading the pathway in as the world's largest Islamic country, right? To take that stage as in its influence and how it approaches. In an open, Al Azhar is a school that really accepts kind of everyone comes here, but there's a framework of that moral grounding, and it leads in some really innovative areas like coursework on sort of ethics and anti-corruption and things that are democratic values, but also Islamic values of stewardship, and even extends to environmental consciousness, right? That there's this, what it shows as a global citizens is you can be the most modern, cutting edge, and be a good Muslim and be right. Those things are not exclusive, and it's really kind of impressive to see. Yeah.
What do you think, and how a school like Al Azhar can cultivate those values? The mindset, being able to connect the two different hemisphere,
right? And I think it starts with thinking back to that funny story about me ending up in Aceh and really feeling close. I think some of it is Al Azhar's commitment to globally engage and to actually bring people. I'm sure we'll talk about the groups of scholars, students, teachers that come here, and we've received you and your delegations to our campus, right? So I think part of it stands with real commitment to sort of person-to-person diplomacy, and we can have big ideas, but actually having people experientially engage with those populations and students who come to Al Azhar, even if they don't leave Jogja, they're going to get exposure to an international flavor, to the way other people think, and I think that creates a kind of consciousness that I'm convinced that Indonesians already have built in, that kind of a sense of because they navigate their different cultures so expertly that I think it's not a hard stretch if you push students to think internationally. They're already disposed to that as Indonesians, to think about other cultures. So it's not a challenge for them to also push a little bit. And sort of merantau.
That's right. That's right. Dang. Many parents nowadays, especially like the millennials, right?
Yeah.
They have an exposure to the world, and they also had a lot of opportunity to travel themselves, and they want to send their kids, to school that strengthened the moral grounding, the religious values, but also having a good understanding of global awareness and also global mindedness. Now, what would you suggest schools like Al Azhar, for example, to be able to nurture or develop both that identity, like being Muslim, being Indonesian, and also embracing the change in the world?
Right. I think the pathway is to encourage, and I think from this school are going to go students who will go to the best universities and will achieve. I think having them be successful in their careers. I met students yesterday. 2 students were like, I want to study physics. Right, like Indonesia needs physicists, right? It deserves all of sort of the best minds to be working, and so I think part of it is building that, creating a safe space where they feel like, look, there's no conflict between scholarship and my faith, and so. Be comfortable in that and go out and achieve the very highest you can in your fields, right? To be successful and come back and contribute to the country. And I think that experience of like saying like, look, they will learn here as students, like, look, I can do both of those things at the same time, and then to go out in the world and actually perform that is right, to be doctors and physicists and historians even.
I think I need to refill my drinks.
Okay.
I would like to have someone maybe help deliver my tea.
Oh, nice.
Would you also
special delivery? Yeah.
Would you like to have more coffee?
I'll have some coffee or tea. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So, Al Azharian, also everyone watching this podcast, our beverages is provided by Ashram Coffee and Eatery, which is just right there outside our lobby.
Even a kiosk in the lobby downstairs.
And there is one downstairs too, that's right. So if you want to spend your time here, don't worry that you're going to get hungry or thirsty. There is a cafe with lots of options that you can pick from. Right?
It's really great.
Dang, you mentioned about being immersed into the academic endeavors, right? Like do your best in the field in your study. But being leaders, being global leaders, is not only about mastering the academics, right? That's one part of it. What would you say, or what would you advise students or parents, the kind of skills that need to be acquired to be leaders?
Yeah, I think it's important to say, like, you have to you need to go out and be successful in your field, but it can be hollow if you have, say, that you sacrifice family or friendships for that, right? You need to balance that, and part of that balance comes from helping others along, platforming people, giving back to students and to the places the causes that are the memento mori, like to contemplate your own passing away as a way to like think about what do I really want to achieve? What do I want people to say about me when I'm gone? And as a historian, I think about that a lot because I'm mostly interacting with people who are gone, and what legacy do they leave, and what is important, and to model that as leaders in whatever way.
And what would you think is the role of educators to make sure that when they're talking about global citizenship, it's not simply about traveling, it's not simply about, like technology or anything coming from other country, but more of like, I totally agree with you when you're saying being leaders is not just having office or serving a formal positions in the leadership, but also giving back to the community as part of the service with your expertise, right? So how can we help educators, or what educators can do to make sure that global citizenship is not just about traveling?
Yeah, right. And I think some of it might be about creating opportunities for those who are smart, capable, but don't have the means. Some of it might be continuing to find ways to scholarship opportunities to contribute to even coming to your the classes and talking to students about about setting goals and achieving them, and like for them to see that modeled, that successfully, and also being a good person. I think Al Azhar there's a sort of an emphasis on who you are as an individual, and like continuing to be kind and patient and giving is also that power, even at the highest level, doesn't have to be you don't have to be a tyrant or
absolutely
right. You can be kind and loving and friendly as a way of, and that truly maybe is the highest level of power. You don't have to defend your status, or like you're just comfortable with who you are, and you're happy to lift others.
I think leading by influence is much better. It's the best way, in my opinion. As compared to leading with fear, right? We're gonna continue talking about the issues that is very close to my heart as educators.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about international education and skill development. In Indonesia, and I think other countries as well, and they want to leverage, they want to level up their school by giving label or naming before or after their school name with the word international, right?
Right.
Sekolah international, or international school of such and such, or so and so, but they don't really much of it. So in your opinion, what makes international school, or what makes international?
Like a Sekolah Internasional yang benar. That really that means a school that there's a transformation of the mindset where from the administrators down to the staff and the teachers and students, like if you're here, you're gonna believe that it's important to think about the other parts of the world, to engage them seriously, to develop the skills. Like a lot of the entire curriculum in English at Al Azhar Yogyakarta.
It's actually a mix of three different curriculum. So national curriculum, international curriculum, and also Islamic curriculum.
So like moral education, they get language training. So they're literally giving them a toolkit to go out into the world and to engage in other places. And so there's an obvious commitment to I think I'm lucky to be here because, as evidence of that commitment, Al Azhar say, hey, we're not just going to say we're an international school. We're going to bring international people here. You've had programs we can talk about, Educate Global. Our colleague James Cohen and others have been leaders in, and peers that teach cooperatively, that bring kind of real commitment to the sign on the wall that says international.
Right.
Like they're actually doing it. Like,
Right. Yeah, I think I agree with you. So, in my opinion, international school is not only about the use of quote-unquote international language, right, in the school as the language of instructions, or simply adopting international curriculum. It's a lot more than that. It's just like a few, like a couple of practices in a school among other values of international schools.
And it can't just be like, we're going to do a regular school, plus they're going to have a course that's international. It's got to be transformative.
It has to be
across the curriculum.
Everything is integrated into the lives of the school, from the language they use in the school, from the curriculum that is implemented in the school, from the leadership that is actually happens, the support system, even every single program or activity is designed for the school carries out the idea of intercultural understanding, right?
Right.
So the school gotta help the school community to understand first who they are with their identity in the local context. Like for example, Indonesia, what does it mean to Indonesians, right? What does it mean?
And, you know, and sorry to interrupt, but building on that, and some of those schools that claim to be international, really they'll have like, you know, the kind of +1 model. They don't change anything, and then there's this thing that's you get your international exposure through this one. But students should be able to, like, in a math class, in a social studies class, like international is part of woven through all of the fields, all of the faculty, all of this.
Exactly.
So it's and that's what you get here, and not many other places are quite like this that have that across the board commitment.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, it's all integrated, because what it means to be international school is actually nurturing the international culture, and how the teachers or the community in the school have the ability to connect the two.
Right. Like, or some of the, you know, the international school is, you know, this is an Australian school with bule and other rich people that are going to come, and and it's not actually, it might as well be cut out from the West and just pasted here with walls around it, not really engaging Indonesia in any meaningful way. But which is, sure, you can do it that way, but I don't think you're not creating global citizens that way.
No, I don't think they will. Yeah, no. Eric, let's continue our conversations with the trend that is now happening, I think, in many parts of the world, where the government or the school or even the parents, you know, like send their kids to study abroad, right? Like to be it to participate in a short course or in an exchange program or in a joint degree or double degree program in collaborations with institutions abroad. What do you think, or what do you take on that trend?
I mean, I think it's a great impulse. You should say, like, yes, it will be a benefit to myself or to my students, my family, to go and spend time abroad in an educational setting. I think like that. Now you should look for places that have, like, are students really? I've seen this from say American students who come to study abroad in like Southeast Asia, and they hang out with only other Americans and watch Western action movies, and then they're not actually they're not. You manage to study abroad without actually living abroad in the community, right? Yeah. And so I think, you know, especially for like high school age student, things like homestays and others are really great ways to do that. It's not the only way, but right. And so there are things you can look for about how I think that, you know, Michigan State, NIU, we do it very well. Like where you've seen this in action at where if the Indonesian comes, they're kind of in a community that understands them, and so it will help them and will engage them in right. So they're they're seen as international students, and then here they're helped and assisted, and then they can kind of have that experience of truly what it's like to live in another culture, to think from another person's perspective, and so that have safety net or onboarding for those assisting students is a one thing to look for.
Can you explain a little bit what Educate Global is?
Right, so it's a partnership between Northern Illinois University's College of Education, Liberal Arts and Sciences, and then schools like Al Azhar, where we seek funding to send really innovative. So we send pre-service teachers. These are university students who are about to go out and become professional teachers, just finishing their teaching certificate. But they come over to Indonesia, and then you put them in the classrooms side by side with Indonesian teachers, and they learn from these more experienced mentors, their Indonesian colleagues, and they co-teach with these Indonesian partner, and kind of learn kind of how to be teachers from. And I think it really flips the script on a kind of more colonial model of like, well, you know, the Western scholar knows best, so he's going to come and teach, you know, the natives how to do it better. Like that's not at all what this program looks like. It's we value that Indonesian scholars and teachers and the kind of things that they have learned, and then we bring scholars from NIU who supervise the program in conjunction with Al Azhar staff, and then they teach seminars to each other. They work and engage and share these kinds of, and both sides walk away from that like, ooh, I like that idea, I'm going to borrow that, like I'll give you this, right? And it's this incredible exchange, which is actually pretty innovative.
And you know, like the impact that I've also seen in the two schools that we have hosted the Educate Global program, the reading culture in that school has flourished. And I think it really helped the teacher and the students to understand why, when we're talking about education, reading is such a big deal. You know, because I think when we're talking about global competencies nowadays, we have 6 different foundational literacy that they need to master, and from that they can move forward the global competencies like critical thinking, communication, creativity.
And I think you're right for this transformation that Al Azhar wants to have on its students to be difference makers in Indonesia and the world. Like they're going to have to be consumers of information, and then also like whether it's, you know, social media or whether it's books or whether newspapers, and to evaluate and to judge like what is the bias, what is the point of view of this, right? Like you want students who are critical thinkers, and only by experience with reading and like kind of constructing an argument themselves to kind of understand like, oh, I see what so when they read an op-ed in the newspaper, they're like, oh, that person has a point of view. Like it's not that they're lying, but they have a bias and they're trying to get something across, and so they have so I think it becomes more and more important as for them to be discerning as social media can, because there are bad actors who are going to spread, nonsense online. And so for them to be good consumers of and critical evaluators, and that takes reading competency.
That's right. Like I think your writing and your thinking is only as good as your reading, right? The more you read, the more you consume this many different perspectives or references will enrich the way you see the world, the way you think about the world, and the way you critically, because I think a lot of people have this misunderstanding in my, experience talking to a lot of different school teachers, be it in the US or be it in Indonesia. Especially in the country that doesn't have much of a reading culture, being critical for them means to be able to criticize, Whereas that's not what critical thinking is about. It's not criticizing, right? It's more like how we can come up with a careful judgment about.
Right. It's more of a scientific sort of excavation of a piece of information. You're told, like, what is the source? How does it compare to other things I'm being told? Right? It's your kind of this archaeology of knowledge that happens only by really examining
and like bringing in different perspective or data. Right. Like the fact related to what we want to analyze, what we want to critically look. We bring in different perspectives.
Right. So, like somebody tells you something, you say, I'm going to put a pin in that, but I'm going to look that up. Like that sounds interesting, but I don't know what right. And
I don't know. Maybe I have like to double check.
Not the first thing that is told. Like it's not that you think they're not telling the truth, but like you realize that other people have a particular bias, a lens that they see the world through, and that might be gender, that might be ethnicity, that might be religion. That those all inform how we see the world, and just to kind of size someone up and think like, okay, that I kind of know where they're coming from.
That's right. That's right. So Al Azharian, I think we need to remember when we want to nurture critical thinking, be it to ourselves or also to our students, make sure that critical thinking doesn't mean criticizing. It's not that at all.
I taught in a classroom yesterday, great students at Al Azhar, and I had to really convince them, like, I want you to give feedback and criticize. I'm not going to be mad or critique. Like it's this is part of the dialogue, right? It's a dialogue.
Right. So so critical thinking, more of like a dialogue in which we bring in like different perspective to make sure that we have enough data to present a balance about the good, the bad of something, so that we can actually create this a discourse. Instead of like criticizing simply to quote unquote point out.
Right. It's not a knee-jerk resistance of the dismissal of the idea. It's
dismiss.
It's like I'm interested. Like I'm going to give nuance to that. Right. It's that's a mindset that I think that maybe that Al Azhar can help develop in its Indonesian students, is to like, hey, like that's not, you don't have to be malu about critical inquiry, because it's not something that is bad.
And I think the reading culture that is nurtured through the Educate Global really help students and teachers to develop their critical thinking ability, because they start having this habit of seeing things from different angles and also write things, not just based on their opinion, but also from data that they research.
Right. You have to make a case with evidence and data.
Dang, I think we come to a close of our interesting conversations. I think really and enriching even for me to have these conversations with you. Thank you so much.
Matur nuwun.
Matur nuwun. But before we close this podcast, I would like to ask you one more question. If a school like Al Azhar or other schools across the country want to develop a truly international education or international school program, what advice would you give them? And the steps to get there.
I think as we've talked about, I think it's going to mean a couple things. It's going to mean a commitment across all their faculty and administrators and courses to be involved in internationalizing their curriculum, and there are good models like Cambridge and IB and others that try to do this, and you're with your own local innovations, and then also to think about there's going to be maybe extra costs of sending students abroad, hosting. Those are small inputs in the big scheme that have massive dividends in this kind of transformation of students and mindset and opportunity. I mean, right? These are kind of like, the data is there that people who go and they come back and they're more successful, and even if it's just if you don't care about mindset, you care about income, like, right? They're going to do better and achieve more if they have these that's on their resume, on their. So I think thinking about like, you know, this is a worthwhile investment. It's an investment in and if you want Al Azhar to have the growing impact and the kind of in the as leaders, as moral leaders, it's going to take some of that investment. And so and then finding partners. Right. And from all different countries. Who really and they need to share some of these, I think, things that we've talked about. They need to be real collaborators, and then people who are committed to actually. Like, you know, we've both signed MOUs with universities that through no one's fault have not really borne any fruit. And so we need to like look for the ones that we can actually have takeaways from. Really have right. And so that's also
I totally agree with you that we have to find partners that is equally committed to run the program. Well, thank you so much.
Pleasure to be here.
This is great.
Come to Al Azhar.
Hopefully our audience will be able to learn from you as much as I do.
Oh well, I feel like the student here always.
And you'll be around for a few months. Here. So feel free if any of you want to come and meet with us around.
I'm living in Jogja. Would love nothing more than to meet with folks at the school.
I think
my pleasure.
As educators, as a scholar, we are so happy and we have this kind of like thirst of knowledge, right? So we will be very happy to meet with people, to share our thoughts, knowledge, and experiences with other people, because that's how learning happens. That's how.
And maybe as a final point, you might also meet people that you're going to be friends with for a lifetime. And I feel like that's like
that's right.
But that's like
right. What happened. Between us.
And I think that's part of that, like realizing like, hey, we grew up in completely different worlds, but we couldn't align more closely with some of the things we really care about, and so that's that you can't put a price tag on that. So terima kasih.
Absolutely. Terima kasih banyak, Dayang. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So for any of you who wants to be part of the school community here at Al Azhar, please make sure to check on our website and look at the admission for this coming academic year. Jangan lupa kalau Al Azharian mau terus update dengan apa yang terjadi, subscribe dan juga follow di semua social media Al Azhar. Dan sampai jumpa di episode Berbinar berikutnya, berbincang bareng Al Azhar. Thank you.
Terima kasih.